Welcome back to Clark's Ring Rants. Let's get straight into today's video. And it's official, Ryan Garcia will be challenging Mario Barrios for the WBC Welterweight World title on the 21st of February at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Let's talk about it. So we'll start with the champion, Mario Barrios. Now, Barrios comes into this fight off the back of a controversial draw against an ancient Manny Pacquiao in July of last year. Going into that fight, Manny Pacquiao was looking to become the oldest welterweight world champion in history. And in front of him was Barrios. Barrios is a tall, rangy fighter for the weight, but he doesn't really know how to implement those physical advantages he has to the best of his abilities, and he's come unstuck in the past. He's lost to the likes of Keith Thurman, and he even lost to Tank Davis down at 140. Nevertheless, he's moved up to welterweight and somehow managed to find himself as WBC champion, despite being quite limited, in my opinion. No disrespect to Mario Barrios. However, in spite of all this, I thought he would still have more than enough to beat a near 50-year-old Manny Pacquiao quite convincingly due to his height, his strength, his youth. I thought he'd have more than enough to beat Manny Pacquiao. However, I was wrong, and most observers were wrong, and Manny Pacquiao pushed him all the way, making it a really close, competitive fight. And I think, and most of the people who watched it thought Pacquiao did enough to win, and he should have made history that night, becoming the oldest welterweight world champion in history. Nevertheless, he got the draw, luckily for him, avoiding embarrassment, and he moves on to this fight here with Ryan Garcia, where he once again will be looking to win and defend his welterweight title and move on to potentially unifications with the likes of Lewis Crocker, Devin Haney, and other top contenders at welterweight. But standing in front of him is Ryan Garcia, and I've been racking my brains trying to think how Ryan Garcia is even ranked or in a position to fight for a world title given his recent form. So let's talk about Ryan Garcia. We all know he failed that drugs test against Devin Haney, and that fight was ruled a no contest. And before that, he was stopped by Tank Davis, and even in his most recent fight, he was beaten comfortably by Rolly Romero. So you really do have to ask the question, how on earth has Maurizio Sullivan been able to come to a conclusion where Ryan Garcia is a viable contender to challenge for a world title, based off the fact that he's only had one fight at welterweight, which he lost convincingly. He's failed a drugs test, and he's not really beaten anyone of note. So, like I say, since he beat Luke Campbell, that was 5 years ago now, as hard as it is to believe, that was his breakout win, shall we say. Luke Campbell, Olympian, former world title challenger, good, solid, world level fighter. Ryan Garcia stopped him with a body shot in the 7th round. But like I say, that was 5 years ago. And what has Ryan Garcia done since then to warrant a world title challenge, apart from having millions of Instagram followers? Well, I'm going to tell you here. So since then, he has fought Emmanuel Tagoe. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he's a guy who's only ever had 2 fights outside of Africa. The rest all in obscurity in Africa. He managed to beat him, but not really a Hall of Fame win or one that's going to put you in world title contention. He stopped Javier Fortuna. Again, he's lost 5 out of his last 8 fights. Not a brilliant win, not doing anything for you in terms of a ranking. He lost to Tank Davis, and I know he was weight drained, there was other stipulations in that fight, but he was still beaten, and he was beaten well, stopped in the end. That was nearly 3 years ago as well. Since then, he's beat Oscar Duarte. That's a semi-decent win. I'll give him that one, fair enough, Ryan. And then he beat the brakes off Devin Haney, but we later found out why, because he was absolutely roided up to the eyeballs in that fight, and it was later ruled a no contest. And then, coming off the back of his ban or layoff, whichever way you want to look at it, he fought Rolly in a fight I thought was very winnable for him. Rolly, again, a limited fighter. Ryan Garcia should be able to beat him. But no, Rolly made quite easy work of it, outboxing him over 12 rounds and even dropping Ryan Garcia in a performance where he looked really, really flat. And you do have to question that, given it comes the fight after he failed a drugs test. But anyway, somehow you try and make sense of it, I can't. That qualifies Ryan Garcia for a shot at a world title. Now, what I think the play is here, they want Ryan Garcia to win this fight. Conor Benn's been reinstalled highly in the WBC rankings at welterweight, despite not fighting there for 4 years. Go and figure that one out. And they're going to look to try and make that fight later down the line. So Ryan Garcia, if the establishment get their way, he'll win this fight. He'll make easy work of Barrios. Again, no disrespect to Barrios, but he's not the greatest welterweight of all time or anything. Ryan, if he can be bothered to train and he comes with a bit of ambition, he should be able to beat Barrios. And I know he doesn't deserve this fight, but it is what it is. We're here now. So what I think is going to happen is he should win this fight, probably decision of 12 rounds. Again, he's got the skills, he's got the tools. He's a very talented fighter, Ryan. He just doesn't let it show very often. So should he win this fight, I expect there to be a big, big fight with Conor Benn down the line. They're both going to sell that fight. They can trash talk. They've got really good followings on social media, and Eddie Hearn, Golden Boy, they're going to look to make that fight, see what they can do further down the line. Maybe chuck it on a big Riyadh season or a ring card over there in America. As for the fight itself, like I say, if Ryan comes with any ambition or he can actually be bothered, he should take care of business here. Again, Barrios, not the greatest champion in the world, all due respect. Ryan should be too skilled. I think he hits hard enough to hurt Barrios, and he should win a decision here. But this all depends on whether Ryan's actually training or he's just messing about, drinking, doing Instagram lives, streaming on Twitch, or whether he's actually focused on boxing. But like I say, he really doesn't deserve this shot. I don't agree with the fight at all. Really, my mind does boggle at how it's even come to this, but it is what it is. It's boxing. It's the Wild West, and we've got Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios to look forward to in February. So those are my thoughts on the fight. Don't think Garcia deserves it, but we're going to get it anyway. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.